Hello, this is Glenn from SimAbility, and I'm here to talk about our spring tension mod for the standard paddles, aka GT paddles, for our Thrustmaster wheels. So the reason we have the spring tensioning mod is for anybody who requires more spring tension than they come with. So for years we built them with pretty light spring tensions, and this will allow you to add more spring tension. Back in the day when SimAbility started, when that product started, the standard really was the Sim Raceway SRW S1 wheel, and it had pretty soft paddles, and a lot of our customers at the time needed paddles with pretty soft springs. But we have a lot of customers who prefer a much stiffer spring, so that's where the spring tension mod comes in. So here's one of the spring kits right here. It's fairly easy to ship, it's small, pretty easy to install. I'll cover that at the end. And I've got it installed on this wheel right here, and what I'll do is I'll take the paddles off in a moment here and demonstrate. But from the front of the wheel you can see the springs that are added. You may or may not need one on the brake, but it does come with both sides, so you can use one or both. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'll go ahead and take the paddles off so we can get a little better look. Okay, so with the paddles removed, we got a little better view of the spring tensioner unit and the two springs that we use on each side to add the extra tension. What we're adding is a plate that goes in between the paddle and the rocker, and then the backstop itself is replaced with a new backstop that has a spring retainer on it. And you can adjust the spring tension as well. On the hook, or whatever you want to call it, for the spring tensioner, that can be screwed in or out. I don't know if it's going to come across on the video, but you can grab it with some needle nose, move that in, and that exposes the lock nut, so you can go ahead and change the tension on that. So we've gotten a little bit tighter there. The other thing you can do is if you need more tension than we can get here, you can actually slide this underneath the paddle and add a fair amount of tension that way. At full tension, it's about equivalent to the paddles on the Fanatic GT3 wheels. It's pretty stiff. Not too many people are going to need that much tension. Okay, time to install. So first thing I got to tell you is you only want to do one side at a time, because we are taking the backstop off, and we do not want to take both backstops off at the same time, because the backstops hold the entire unit together. So you just want to do one side at a time. Don't do that side, do one side at a time. Alright, so we're going to do the left side first. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the paddle. And the kit does come with Allen wrenches, so if you don't have the standard Allen wrenches that we use here in the US, that will come with those. Some of the older units actually have screws for the paddles, so you wouldn't need those. Then we're going to go ahead and, before we remove the backstop, take note of the gap here and the angle. Typically they will ship with the angle, maybe just a little extra angle. You can see that one, the paddle is moved out just slightly, or you can measure the distance here. You don't have to be exact, but you want to get it back more or less in the same place that you had it when you took it apart, because we're going to have to remove the backstop adjuster screw. And so what we're going to do is let's remove the backstop adjuster itself. And when we do this, the backstop, the rocker arm I should say, is going to try to swing back, which is fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Take that out, just let that swing back, no problem there. And I'm going to go ahead and remove the backstop adjuster screw. Easier to do it now with the backstop out. And then we're going to put it in a new one. Now, there's going to be two of these, and they are different. So you want the backstop that has the slot for the lock nut on the inside. So what we have is a spring retainer that's going to go through that hole, and the lock nut is going to be on the inside. So we want the slot facing the center of the wheel. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the backstop adjuster screw in, and we'll just go approximately there for now. And so let's go ahead and hold the rocker forward, drop our backstop on there. Tighten those down. Okay, and we're going to take a look at our backstop. Pretty close. Let's come in just a little bit. I'll lock that nut. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to take our spring, which comes attached to the slider bracket, and we'll just loop the spring hook or retainer through our spring, and we'll run it through this hole right here. This can be a little tricky. Alright, so once we've got our spring retainer on the backstop piece, now we can just put our slider plate on top of the rocker arm, and we're almost done. The only thing we need to do now is just put our paddle back on. Okay, to adjust the tension, there's a couple things we can do. One, we can take the spring retainer, some needle in the hose, move it in, and we can tighten that nut or loosen that nut. That to me is the preferred way. And then once you let go of this, that nut is going to fall into a slot and it locks it down so it won't move. The other thing that you can do is, if you need a little extra tension, you can move this slider plate out a little bit to get some extra tension. Easiest way to do that is either stick an Allen wrench in there and pull it, or take one of your extra screws. Screw it in there, and then we can go ahead and pull on that, and then tighten our paddle down. Take the screw out, and we've got some extra tension on that. So there we go, it's installed. It's actually installed on both sides now. But once you get one side done, then you can do the other side. Remember, do not remove both at the same time. Alright, so that wraps up the install.